Okay, notice we are very limited in the amount of time that we have this week. Tomorrow at this time, I don't know, some of you will probably be in, I should say probably may be in practice. Is that true? Football, volleyball? Okay. So with that, the amount of time that we will be missing is slowly coming to an end because if you count up the number of days that we have not had class, that's up to 7 already when we include the last 2. And that's a lot of time to be missing, but that's not your problem, or not. I shouldn't say it's nobody's problem. It's nobody's fault. We just deal with it as is. And again, we try to keep this just as smooth and painless as possible. Maybe we do or don't like this material. That's going to be besides the point, because a lot of you, well, I shouldn't say a lot of you, because this same conversation or very similar one is going to be taking place probably the next 2 parent-teacher conferences. So for those of you who have parents coming to this, how many of you do feel like you are college bound? And college isn't for everybody. Just one? Oh, okay. And I'm just curious that when we get later on, when we have these questions, when we do one of these, I don't know if you're trying to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex or what. Or your hands only go out so far. I mean, if you have questions, I say get that hand up. But the reason that we say that, how many of you would think once I get past this year, maybe next year, that'll be the last science I ever have to take? How many of you would really enjoy that? Because science isn't for everybody. I'll admit that. Okay? So for those of you who did consider yourselves college bound, and do you think you will be done after high school? Just do you think? No, you will not be done with science. You do have to take 8 credits. You have no choice. You have to take 8 credits in college. So this, what may be considered as boring material now, you will see again in college biology. Okay? To what scope, I really don't know. Okay, some of the questions that we're going over a couple hours ago in general chemistry, as far as utilizing that periodic table. There's some applications that we certainly don't go as far in depth in as what you may in college, because it's such too difficult of a concept for high school students to I wouldn't say maintain, but to either master or understand. Doesn't mean that you can't, but why drag everyone through the mud with that? Again, I think hopefully you would agree, try to get you through this material, and hopefully with an understanding that when you do see this again, it'll be okay. A lot of your people's grades, they are on the rise. I think you would agree with that. I hope. Okay? So, and this may come up in parent-teacher conferences. Again, how many of you have taken advantage of all the opportunities that were given to you? One? Just one. Okay? Bonus questions, asking questions, watching the Science Channel when needed. 1, 2. Okay, all right, fair enough. Because otherwise, I was reading a Reader's Digest portion of the article, and I thought it was kind of amazing, the idea of, do you think people are, let's say, whether it's your parents, maybe other faculty members or grandparents, do you feel when I say bias, that they form an opinion on you that you use too much technology and you use your phone way too much. Do you feel that's branded upon you? Okay. But what was so funny about that part of that article that I was reading is that some studies should, and it's not just teenagers, that people who use their phone, if they're walking all the time, they may be walking down a street where there's like dollar bills, $5 bills hanging down from a tree, but they are so in tune to using their phone, they walk right on past them. Now, does that mean that you could grab them? I really don't know. It depends what you want to believe in the article. But I don't know. That's not for me to say. Sometimes I do think that you do receive a bad brand, if you want to call it that. And I think it would be difficult to be a teenager at this time. I really do. Because it is a lot different. I think your parents would say it was a lot different when I was growing up. I don't know if you've ever heard that conversation before. Maybe yes, maybe no. And we had, again, I can't speak for your parents, but maybe you've said, we had it so much tougher than you have it now. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But the idea is we do try to get you ready for the future, believe it or not. That is our job. And how we go about getting there, it's going to be different for every classroom. And, of course, it's going to be, let's say, better in math class if you enjoy that, or English class if you enjoy that more so than science. Of course it's going to be easier, you're going to enjoy that more. But again, just try to make the best of it and get through this material. Okay, so we have class today, and then Wednesday I will not be here, and in my opinion, it's not that we've wasted so much time, but we've lost so much to that of being gone for cross country. We've tried to utilize the Science Channel as much as possible, but I don't think it's fair to you people to extend this on into next week. Okay, we're going to try to get through all the information that what we need today. Excuse me. So that when Thursday rolls around, that'll be the last time you see this until semester time. Yes. Yes. So with that, it's not that this is an essay question, but this is just things to think about as far as sometimes we call them the dark reactions. Well, it's not that they take place at night, but these are needed first before we can enter into that. But one of the things that you'll notice when you get your vocab quiz back too, the score that's in the column may not match what you see on your paper, so I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit. Maybe this wasn't taught the best. And I think when you do look at the definitions in the back of the book, it's not the whole definition, but it's a lot of what I think are the key words that I think you should know for that term. So we chop that down into the information that I think you should know. Now, like it, don't like it, think it's fair, unfair, that's your opinion. But that's the information that we're trying to address to you as individuals. So when we look at this, what do we know about the light reactions? We started probably 3 or 4 different class periods saying, why is this significant? Water. What's this going to do? It splits. Who did not hear that? This water molecule, it splits. The reason that's important is when that does split, you've got, of course, hydrogen and oxygen. So what's significant about the oxygen? Do plants use oxygen? No, it's a byproduct, okay? Again, that's one of the things you probably learned when you were in elementary. Plants take in carbon dioxide and they give off what? Oxygen. Okay? So when this is split, okay, when a water molecule is split like this, okay, When that breaks apart, this is going to find other water molecules that split with oxygen, and then that is given off as a byproduct. Okay? Hydrogen then, on the other hand, okay, that drives the electrons in what we call the electron transport chain. We said the big things that we wanted you to know about the light reactions, the leaves take in what from above? Not heat, but sunlight, okay? As those leaves take in the sunlight, what happens to the water? Splits apart. It breaks the molecule of water apart. This hydrogen then drives the electrons in what we call the electron transport chain, and then oxygen is given off as a what? Byproduct, because it has nothing to do with the process of photosynthesis. It's given off as a byproduct. Is any of this sounding familiar? You're nodding your head yes. Anybody else? Just yes. Yes. Okay? So now whether it does or it doesn't, like I said, maybe it's because this is not interesting at all. I would agree. But do you think you would want to have some basic information in 3 years from now? Not junior year, not senior year, but freshman year in college. And I think that would be, I would like to think that would be yes. Okay? So, leaves take in the sunlight and light energy. It breaks the water molecule in half. The hydrogen drives the electrons in the electron transport chain, and oxygen is given off as a byproduct. Okay? Those were the main things we wanted you to know about the light reactions. The Kelvin cycle. Some people would say, well, those are the dark reactions because they take place at night. Well, not necessarily. This is just a supplemental way to take in carbon dioxide to make food for themselves. And these structures, these stomatas, I think we had read that together. And that is it's part of what you see here on page 120. We did some in-class readings, and this is what we're talking about with those stomatas right here. Open and closed, because when it's hot outside during the day, do you suppose those stomatas want to be wide open? The answer is no. Okay? For the basic reason, they do not want to lose too much water. Okay? So the answer is no. But in the Kelvin cycle, when they take in this carbon dioxide, what do you suppose they're making for them? Same thing they're doing in the light reactions, but in a different process. What do plants need to make for food? It's the sugar, known as what? Glucose. Okay? So the end result in both concepts, or both processes, is end result is making sugar. Okay? End result or process is making sugar. Okay? This does it in this manner, where in the Kelvin cycle it's taking in carbon dioxide. Okay. Is anybody just totally lost? If you don't say anything, well then I got to believe you understand. Left outside. We good? Left middle. Middle. Right middle. Right outside. Okay? I appreciate everyone who's given me input. Thank you. Okay? So, then the last thing we need to talk about is what are your 4 movements across the cell membrane. That's from last chapter. Okay? So, is this one of them aspects to where do you want us to write it down as a group, or do you just want to visualize that in your head? Because some people can do math in their head and just say, I don't want to deal with that. I just would rather just listen. You tell me, what do you want? Write it down. Okay. So, do your parents know about the Science Channel? You say, I've never heard of that. They don't know, and maybe they go with the idea, well, you're 15, 16 years old, can police yourself. I don't know if you want to call it that, but I think one of the things that, whether maybe it's in academics, but sometimes in athletics, but how many of you maybe see yourselves going on to the military? One. Two. Oh, that's right. What I'm getting is, if you talk to Sam or if you talk to Taylor, what happens once they've gotten into, let's say, about 8 weeks of their training, they just allow the drill sergeants to kind of police themselves. You should know what's right and what's wrong by that time. We'd like to think that you can police yourselves in here, okay? You should know, hopefully, what's right, what's wrong. Maybe yes, maybe no. Because when you get to be a senior, then it's kind of like, well, we're ready to get out of here. We know what we need to do to be successful, right? How many of you are ready to start making those decisions? I'm ready to be on my own. Just one? There's more of you than that. Just one? Okay. Do you know what that's going to be? Well, you're ready to be on your own, making your own decisions. What might that be? At what, do you know? Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you make a living, who cares? If you're doing, supporting yourself, it shouldn't matter what you're doing. No one should hang their head on that. You know, we don't make much money as educators, but I enjoy what I do for the most part. Which reminds me, how many of you would rather be up here teaching your classmates? Does anyone want to do that? You got to get all of your classmates to listen to what they want you to do. Is that possible? A lot of you are shaking your heads no. Why is that? Okay, we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, movements. Across the cell membrane. Okay? So, let's list them first of all, because they don't all move the same things, they don't all work the same way, and some of them require energy, some of them don't. So just go ahead and give some of them movements. Active transport, okay? Okay, then I'm going to leave a little bit of space down here. I heard osmosis, diffusion. Okay, and then I'm just going to put FAC, diffusion. Okay, so those are your 4 movements of materials across the cell membrane. So, now, why do you suppose there's so much distance between active transport and the other 3? Well, maybe, I suppose. But it requires something that the other 3 don't. It requires energy, okay? So we know that active transport, okay, requires energy, okay? And the reason it requires energy is why? I'm asking you why. Moves materials what? Against something. Concentration gradient, okay? So it moves moves ions against a concentration gradient. Okay? We don't need to worry about the sodium can diffuse into a cell and potassium needs to be pumped against a concentration gradient, but the best example for that is, we'll just say the Na/K pump. Okay? I guess when we had taken a vocab quiz last chapter, it wasn't my intention that we would forget what sodium and potassium actually were. That's my mistake. Okay? So that's good enough for active transport. What about osmosis now? You can say, what does it move, first of all? Moves water. Okay, so it moves water. Okay? It moves it how? With a concentration gradient, but does it go down or up? Okay? Moves water, okay? But I was going to say requires no, but that doesn't make sense. We will say no energy needed. Oops. Goes down a concentration gradient. Okay? What about diffusion? Does it have anything in common with osmosis? What would that be when we're nodding our head yes? Yeah, no energy. Okay? We get the idea. If it's requiring no energy, we know, just as long as you have this for one of them, whether it's this one, or this one, we're saying no energy, we don't need to be repeating this 3 times. We get the idea. If it doesn't require energy, it's going down a concentration gradient. Okay? But what does it move, though? That I want you to be specific with. Blood gases, because it has to be materials really, really small. So it moves blood gases. We're not worried about whether it's going in or whether it's going out, because they're going in both directions, depending upon where it's high and where it's low. Okay? So it moves blood gases down a concentration gradient, and it doesn't require energy. Okay, then finally, what about facilitated diffusion? Okay, so moves, how about something a little more, you're right, but something a little more specific than just big particles. Not sodium, that's pretty small. Anybody? Okay, all right. You could say glucose, you could say proteins, you could say carbohydrates, because those substances are too big to move across the cell membrane without a little bit of help. That's why we say facilitates. It leads it, okay? So facilitated diffusion moves large molecules, moves glucose. I think that's the simplest, since that's what we're talking about when it comes with the light reactions and that of the Kelvin cycle. We're talking about sugars, okay? And no energy. Okay? Other than the 2 sets of papers I need to pass back, that should do it. Exam is on Thursday. Okay. Questions? Now, it's kind of a catch-22. I really don't like being gone and then you just go to another classroom and then just sit there with nothing to do. I don't like that idea, but I also don't like the idea of giving you something to work on and then you take an exam the next day. So it's the only thing that I could think of, and I don't want to waste your time, but we never got a chance to get to cellular respiration. Not that that's good, not that that's bad. It's not your fault or your problem, but I don't want to have to move so fast that we just throw it in there just to get it done. We could do that, but I don't think that's fair. Maybe you think the same, or maybe you would disagree that, yeah, we could have done that. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm sorry, I'm seeing lots of blank stares out there. I'll stop now. Anything else? Okay. So that's it. Okay. Oh, how soon we forget. Okay. I think maybe we'll just tune in on Wednesday. Have to go to also if you choose to do these bonus questions, like let's say, for instance, since we're entering the postseason in baseball, maybe we would say the question is Joe DiMaggio has this record for batting as with, and the answer was 56 game hit streak. Just turning in 56 game hit streak isn't good. You have to have the question down too. You have to take into account if you think, well, that's silly. Well, we don't have to have bonus questions then. So you have your choice. Do you want the bonus questions or do you not want the bonus questions? So I don't think it's asking too much that you actually have the question and the answer on there. Agreed? Okay, fair enough. So it's just a little bit of responsibility on yourself to not lose them. Okay? Because if you just have the answers, that's not going to cut it. Okay? All right. So, yes.